Today we're tackling something I know is top of mind for many of you, achieving English fluency and, well, doing it in a way that feels more natural, more effective.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's such a familiar story, isn't it? You spend all this time, countless hours maybe on grammar rules, vocabulary lists,
right.
and maybe you get to where you understand quite a bit, but actually speaking, it just feels like hitting a wall.
Yeah, that invisible barrier feeling, you hesitate, you worry about mistakes. Fluency just seems out there somewhere.
Exactly. That feeling of being stuck, even after all the effort, is
Hmm.
something we hear constantly.
And that's really what we want to explore in this deep dive. We're looking at maybe a different approach, one that really emphasizes changing how you think about learning
Mhm.
and using practical strategies for, natural English acquisition. The goal is helping you speak more confidently and maybe even enjoy the journey a bit more.
And to guide us, we've been looking at excerpts from a podcast. And what's great about this source is how it directly tackles those common frustrations head on. It gives really concrete, actionable steps you can, well, start using right away.
Okay, so diving in. The first big thing this source really hammers home is the power of mindset, our own minds.
Yes. It talks about those negative beliefs so many learners carry around.
Mm.
English is just too hard, or I'll never really get it.
Right, that feeling of impossibility.
And what's fascinating from a learning science view is how these beliefs can actually, well, set your brain up against success.
How so?
Well, if you're convinced something's difficult, you might subconsciously avoid the tricky parts or see any little mistake as proof that you were right all along. It creates a real mental block.
Like a self-fulfilling prophecy. That makes sense.
But the source offers a direct counter. It says the very first absolutely crucial step is to consciously challenge that thought, to actively stop telling yourself English is hard.
And instead,
Instead, embrace the idea that fluency is achievable, that it's actually within your reach.
okay, actively shifting that belief.
And there's logic to it. When you approach learning with a more positive, open outlook, your brain is just, well, more receptive, more ready to absorb new stuff, and more resilient when things get tough.
It's about possibility, not limits.
Exactly. They use this great analogy. Think about a baby learning to walk.
Okay.
They stumble, they fall constantly.
Right.
Do they just give up? Think, walking's not for me.
No, of course not. They just get back up, try again.
Right. And eventually they're walking, running even, without thinking about how they're doing it.
So the falling isn't failure.
It's just part of the process. If we map that onto language learning, mistakes aren't signs you're failing. They're just data points. You wobble, you adjust, you get better, like finding your balance.
I like that reframe, mistakes as data.
To really cement this, the source brings up positive affirmations. Simple statements like, English is getting easier, or I can speak English. I'm learning every single day.
And they suggest actually saying these out loud.
Yeah, repeating them.
Yeah.
No, look, it's not magic, right? Just saying it doesn't instantly make it true.
Okay. But the point is about consciously rewiring that internal chatter, that negative self-talk that holds so many people back.
Like overriding the default programming.
Exactly. Instead of that automatic thought, oh, my English is so bad, or I just can't speak, you start deliberately replacing it. I am learning. I am improving every day.
You're shaping your own internal narrative.
Precisely. And the source points out this positive mindset it can snowball. It leads to more enthusiasm, more sticking power when things get hard.
And ultimately, more success.
Yeah, a higher chance of success. If you genuinely believe you can learn, you're much more likely to put in the consistent effort needed.
Okay, mindset shift is fundamental. Got it. What's the next big strategy from the source?
The next key piece is about your environment, actively surrounding yourself with English.
Right, immersion. But the common idea is you need to, move to the US or the UK.
Which, isn't feasible for most people. But the source really pushes back on that. It argues strongly you can create your own personal English bubble right where you are. Okay, I'm curious how. What are the practical steps?
Well, some are surprisingly simple, like just changing your phone's language setting to English.
Oh, that's clever.
Think about it. How often do you look at your phone? It's constant, low-level exposure, passive learning happening all the time.
That's a really easy win. What else?
Then they talk about consciously trying to think in English, not translating from your native language in your head, but actually forming the thought directly in English. Even simple things like you wake up and the thought is, I slept well. Not the equivalent in your first language. then translate it.
Okay, so cutting out the middleman, the translation step.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That translation process is often a huge bottleneck. It slows you down, makes speaking feel clunky. Thinking directly in English starts to bypass that,
Right.
leads to more fluid speech eventually.
Makes sense. It sounds a bit challenging initially, though.
It can be. They also suggest practicing self-talk in English, like literally talking to yourself.
In the mirror kind of thing.
Could be. Or just narrating what you're doing.
Oh.
Okay, I'm making coffee now. I need to find my keys. It might feel weird,
A little, maybe.
but it's super low pressure practice. Nobody's judging you. You can experiment, make mistakes, just get comfortable hearing yourself speak English.
Like a safe space for trying things out.
Yeah. And another really practical tip,
Mm-hmm.
label stuff around your house. Put sticky notes on the chair, the table, the window with the English words and say them out loud when you see them.
Ah, linking the word directly to the object. Visual connection.
Precisely. It makes English part of your physical world, not just something you study in a book.
Okay, so mindset plus building this English environment around you. What's the next layer?
The next point. Well, this one might challenge some traditional ideas about language learning.
Oh, intriguing.
The source actually suggests, especially at the start, letting go of the intense focus on perfect grammar when your main goal is speaking.
Whoa, okay, let's unpack that because that feels risky for a lot of learners. The fear of sounding incorrect.
And that's exactly the problem the source is pointing to. That very fear, that obsession with getting every grammatical detail right before you even open your mouth.
Yeah.
That can be the thing that paralyzes you. It causes the hesitation, the fear we talked about.
Yeah.
You get so scared of making a grammar mistake, you just don't speak.
Right, analysis paralysis. You never actually do the thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So instead, the source says, prioritize just getting your meaning across, communicating, even if the grammar isn't perfect, especially early on. Think about how kids learn their first language. They listen, copy, make tons of grammar mistakes.
Totally. Me want juice.
Right. But they communicate effectively, don't they?
Yeah.
And the grammar sorts itself out over time through more exposure and use.
So focus on function over form initially, getting the message out.
Yes. Concentrate on learning and using simple, useful sentences, things you can actually use day to day, like, I am eating, she is going to the market, they are playing football. Simple, present, continuous, super useful stuff.
Basic functional language.
And shift the focus more towards listening. Really listening to how native speakers sound and trying to copy their pronunciation, their rhythm, their intonation.
Less analyzing the rules, more mimicking the sound.
Exactly. It taps into that natural absorption and imitation process that's so powerful in first language acquisition.
Okay, this is a different way of thinking about it. Positive mindset, immersion, communication over perfection. How do we start doing the speaking part more regularly?
Right, the practical application. The source gets very specific here, suggesting ways to weave speaking into your daily routines, starting with the morning.
Mornings are good, predictable, usually. Good time to build a habit.
For sure. So the idea is use your morning routine, getting up, washing, breakfast, as dedicated English self-talk time.
Like narrating your own life.
Kind of. Simple things. Good morning. I feel fresh today. Or I had a nice sleep. Then as you do things, I'm brushing my teeth. Now I'm washing my face. Time for a shower.
Just consciously putting those routine actions into English words, making it deliberate.
Yes. And then maybe take it up a notch. Practice a simple, imaginary morning conversation, maybe with a family member.
Oh, like role-playing.
Yeah, even if you play both parts. Good morning. Good morning. Did you sleep well? Yes, thanks. You? Pretty good. What's for breakfast? Making some tea now. Want some?
Ah, they give examples like that. That's helpful. Provides a script almost.
Exactly. It gives you a concrete framework to practice. And the key is these are conversations using really common, relevant words and sentence patterns, the stuff you actually need.
And the advice is still keep it simple, right? Don't try to be Shakespeare first thing in the morning.
Definitely not. Keep it simple, keep it natural. The goal here is building comfort. Just getting used to the physical act of forming English words and sentences. Building that basic confidence.
Okay, mornings make sense. What about when we venture out? You know, go to the shop, meet people.
Yep, the source covers that too. Scenarios like going to the market, meeting up with friends, grabbing coffee.
Common situations.
And it suggests continuing that narration habit. Before you even leave the house, think or say in English, okay, I'm going to the market to buy some vegetables.
Mentally prepping yourself to use English out there. Nice.
And then they provide sample dialogues again.
Yeah.
For the market, asking for things. How much is this? Making the purchase. For meeting a friend.
Mm.
Greetings. What have you been up to? No, maybe suggesting, let's go for a walk.
And at a cafe.
Ordering food and drinks. Can I have a coffee, please?
Uh-huh.
Anything else?
Mm-hmm.
Again, super practical stuff.
So the listener can kind of rehearse these common interactions mentally.
Exactly. Practice them. And the source really stresses being proactive. Look for those little chances to use English when you're out. Even simple exchanges.
And remember, the goal isn't perfection.
Not at all. It's clear communication. Getting your point across naturally. Every time you do that successfully, it chips away at the fear and builds real fluency.
Each interaction is like a small win, building momentum.
Absolutely. Reinforces your ability, boosts that confidence bit by bit.
Okay, so morning routine, check. Out and about, check. How about winding down the day, evenings, nighttime?
The source carries the integration through the whole day. Evenings, it suggests simple chats in English with family. How was your day? What did you do?
Again, using that comfortable home environment.
Right. And then nightly self-reflection in English.
Yeah.
Just taking a few minutes before bed, reviewing your day. Okay, today I went here, I did this. Thinking about tomorrow I need to. Even just thoughts about sleep. I'm feeling tired now. All in English.
That sounds really powerful for consolidating things, keeping English active in your mind right up until sleep.
It really is. And then they introduce another specific technique. Listen and repeat.
Okay, tell me about that.
It's simple but effective. You hear a new English sentence or phrase, maybe from a podcast, a video, whatever, and you immediately repeat it out loud.
Focusing on the sound.
Exactly. Really trying to mimic the pronunciation, the rhythm, the intonation, how the speaker actually says it.
Like vocal training for English sounds, building muscle memory.
Precisely that.
Yeah.
It helps train your mouth and ears for the specific patterns of English speech.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now, moving on slightly, as learners get better, pronunciation and just general confidence often become the next big hurdles, right?
Absolutely. The source tackles those head on. It emphasizes, look, you can speak confidently even if your English isn't, flawless.
That's reassuring.
And it identifies those common reasons for nervousness. Fear of mistakes. Again, worrying about pronunciation, maybe just not enough practice, or still translating too much in your head.
So it acknowledges those feelings are normal. What are the strategies?
For pronunciation, well, that listen and copy method we just mentioned is key. Focusing on how native speakers articulate, the rhythm, the ups and downs. They also suggest consciously slowing down your speech a bit and speaking clearly. Prioritize being understood over trying to speak super fast.
Good tip. Sometimes speed feels like fluency, but clarity is more important.
Definitely. And here's a really useful, though maybe slightly uncomfortable one. Record yourself speaking English.
Ooh, yeah. Hearing your own voice.
It can be cringy at first, but then compare your recording to a native speaker saying similar things. It's invaluable for pinpointing exactly where your pronunciation differs, where you can improve.
Okay, that's a concrete action. What about building the confidence side?
Well, first, actively reframing mistakes, seeing them as learning tools, not failures. That mindset piece again.
It all connects back.
It really does. And then the absolute necessity of commitment. Speak English every single day, even if it's just 15 minutes of self-talk or narrating or finding a quick chat. Consistency builds confidence.
Makes sense. Practice breeds familiarity, reduces fear.
They also mentioned something called the 3-second rule. Basically, when you have a thought in English, try to say it within about 3 seconds. Don't overthink it.
Oh, interesting. To short-circuit the hesitation.
Yeah. Helps break that habit of endlessly editing in your head before you speak. And of course, the big one. Seek out real conversations. Talk to other learners. Find native speakers if you can.
Because actually using it with real people is the ultimate confidence booster.
Nothing beats it. That real-world application is incredibly powerful.
Okay, wow. We've covered a ton. Mindset, immersion, grammar approach, daily practice, pronunciation, confidence. But the final section from our source has this title, The Ultimate Key Thinking in English. Why ultimate?
Because, really, thinking directly in English is seen as the gateway to true, effortless fluency.
Effortless sounds good.
When you can think in English, you completely bypass that mental translation step we talked about. Your speech becomes faster, much more natural, and it just flows with less conscious strain.
Okay, the holy grail, perhaps. But it also sounds like a huge leap. How do you even start?
The source acknowledges it can seem daunting, but it stresses it's a gradual process, not an overnight switch. And the reason it's so crucial is that constant mental translation really is the biggest bottleneck holding many learners back from that next level of fluency.
So what are the steps to actually start thinking in English?
Start small. First, just think in simple English words. Mentally label things you see around you. Tree, car, blue sky.
Okay, like a labeling exercise, but internal.
Exactly. Then, progress to making simple sentences in your mind.
Yeah.
Narrate your actions internally. I am walking. I need to buy milk.
So it builds on the self-talk, but making it your inner voice.
Precisely. Cultivating that internal monologue in English. And they emphasize again, immerse yourself in English content. Movies, podcasts, videos, reading. Surround your brain with the language.
Soaking it in.
And crucially, keep speaking, even with mistakes. Yes. Because actively using the language in real time is what really forces your brain to start thinking in English to keep up.
It all reinforces each other.
Yes. And one more really practical tip here.
Yeah.
If you're thinking or talking in English and you forget a word, don't get stuck.
Ah, the dreaded blank.
Yeah. Instead of freezing or switching back to your native language, try to explain it using simpler English words you do know. Describe it, talk around it, keep the flow going in English.
That's such good advice. Use circumlocution. Don't let one word derail you.
Exactly. And they even suggest a simple daily structure. Maybe morning is for mentally naming objects. Afternoon, try forming simple sentences in your head. Evening, consume some English content. Before bed, do some English self-talk or reflection.
Wow, that lays out a really clear path. Makes it feel much more manageable.
Yeah, it's about integrating it consistently into your daily mental habits.
This has been incredibly insightful. I mean, the biggest takeaway for me listening to all this is that learning English doesn't have to feel like this monumental struggle. And often the main thing holding us back is just fear of messing up.
That's it exactly. And hopefully, for you listening, you now feel like you have some concrete tools and maybe a different perspective to start chipping away at those barriers.
And just think about the possibilities.
Yeah.
English fluency, it opens so many doors, doesn't it? Career-wise, travel, connecting with people globally.
Absolutely. And just that personal feeling of confidence, of independence it can bring.
And the source really reminds us it's a journey. Language learning doesn't really end. It's about keeping going, even when it feels hard.
Mm-hmm. Celebrating the small wins and making that conscious effort, speaking, listening, thinking in English, a regular part of your life.
And remembering those mistakes, they're not failures, they're signposts. They show you're trying, you're learning. Consistent effort is what counts.
So maybe as you go about the rest of your day today, just notice those little opportunities, a chance to think a thought in English, say a simple phrase, listen a bit more actively.
Yeah, definitely. And for our final thought today, a little challenge perhaps, think about just one small English-related action you can take, like right after listening to this. What's one tiny step you can start with? Maybe it is changing your phone language, or trying that morning self-talk tomorrow, or just repeating one new phrase you heard here. That first small step can make all the difference. Thanks for diving deep with us.
Thanks for listening, and if you found the video helpful, please hit the like button. Make sure to subscribe to my channel so you never miss an episode and share it with others who might benefit. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover in future episodes, we'd love to hear from you. So your feedback is really important to us. And if you want to continue learning right now, here in this playlist, you'll find helpful videos for English listening practice. You might want to watch it next. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.